So yes, I'm in bed. Why? Because I'm getting this really big, like, migraine headache situation. It's like here, in my eyes. My eyes hurt. So not so happy about that, but I am keeping up on my water and hopefully it won't become a thing. But I wanted to go live and talk to you about this theory I've been mulling on. Is that a thing? This theory I've been cultivating in my head, and I didn't want to miss it. So I figured, hey, I'll get into bed and I'll talk to you guys because we're friends anyways, right? So anyways, I've been doing this EFT tapping thing. That's not what makes me crazy. Not yet. This part I really like. And I think that everybody needs to have an outside source of leading you in the right direction, whether it's a mentor or maybe it's your doctor, someone you trust, a friend, but a friend who teaches you or challenges you to rise up, not a friend who keeps you where you're at, right? Because you always want to keep growing and advancing and improving. So I've been searching for something, and I found that I'm not the therapy type. And I'm not if you are, you go girl, like you do your thing. But for me, it just doesn't work because I'm a goal-oriented, result-driven person. I don't want to talk about my crap over and over and over and over and try to figure out, well, what happened in your childhood that made you like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to keep talking about it. And I certainly don't want to rehash a lot of it. So let's just fix it and move on. And I know that our brains are complicated and you can't just fix them, but that's the kind of person I am. Hey, Terry, how are you feeling? Totally my motivation for the other thing that we're doing that we're not talking about yet, but okay. So, I found this person who does EFT tapping, and if you're not the type of person that believes in alternative medicine type stuff, you might think I'm a nut, but it totally works. It realigns, hey Vera, it realigns your energy, and it really, really helps you. Like, you talk about certain situations, and the tapping and the talking and all of it it really realigns your energy, and it really helps you clear up some stuff, and it helps you feel at peace with things. It can help you with anxiety as well. It's very, very interesting. You guys should totally Google it. EFT tapping. Okay. Anyways, I've been doing it a couple of times, really enjoying the results, really already excited. Vera, if I'm crazy, it's because you helped me be crazy. I'm just saying. But the reason why I'm mentioning this is not because exactly, Michelle. You see, it is awesome. Other people know about this. It's super awesome. It's very, very cool. The reason why I'm bringing it up is because we were in my session. When was it? I don't even know what today is because my headache hurts. Today's Thursday. So I went yesterday. Oh, wow. Wow, I'm losing it. It was only not even 24 hours ago. But so I went yesterday and we were talking about this thing. And he's like, okay, well, why do you think this is what's it from? Right. So we're talking about it and we're exploring it. And it turns out that this thing that I'm doing now in my adult life is from something that occurred like forever ago. And it got me thinking that we're freaking complicated people. Like we're complicated. Our brains are complicated. We're that science, yeah, they figured out the heart and they know how the liver works and all of that, but that they've barely touched the surface with the brain. Like, the brain is it's the big unknown. Like, people really don't understand it. And I've just really been thinking wow, this kind of stuff is so powerful. And I started to do some research because me, I'm a reader and I need to understand and I need to know, and then I need to pour it back into you guys. And so I have this theory. And of course I was relating it to health because it's my passion and it's kind of my barometer of how I figure things out in life in general. Like, okay, well, how does this relate to health, right? So our subconscious is what is screwing us up sometimes because our subconscious wants to protect us. Our subconscious is not a rational part of our brain. Our rational part of our brain, for example, knows that if you put your hand in fire, it's going to burn. But someone's subconscious could maybe make them touch fire. And I don't mean physically fire. I mean something that's not good for you. It could be eating too much food. It could be alcohol. It could be drugs. It could be a bad relationship. There's so many different things that you might be putting yourself into, thinking that you're helping yourself or protecting yourself, or there's so many. It doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be big like that. It could be something small. It could be like, me, I don't drive on highways. Wow. Now you know another crazy thing about me. I don't drive on highways because I was in an accident when I was 18 years old, and my subconscious must be protecting me. Now, are we going to take care of that in EFT? Yes, we are. But it's just very interesting that our subconscious is almost like it still thinks you're a little child. It still thinks that it needs to protect you, right? So what EFT does, and there are so many other, kinds of things that you can do, is it kind of lets your subconscious know, like, I'm okay. You can let me be. Like, I can take care of myself, and so relating this to health, tell me what you think, because this is where I'm like, hey, do you think I'm nuts? But this is not like something I've read online. This is something that I'm just thinking out loud. A lot of the people that I talk to, and we're up in the many, many, many thousands of people that I've helped get healthy, right? So I've talked to a lot of people, really many thousands. And a lot of us are emotional eaters, or we're bored eaters, or we're sad eaters, or we're happy eaters, or, Halloween, Christmas, all the holidays are coming up, and you're all thinking, oh my God, what are we going to eat? I'm so excited to have that pie. I'm so excited to have that cake. I'm so excited to have that drink. And but why? Because we relate happiness or sadness or boredom or being scared or whatever to food. And I'm thinking, like, where did it all start from? Now, I think some of us may have gone through trauma, and we don't want to feel the pain, and eating feels good. It does. It physically feels good. And so we eat to cover up the pain because we don't want to face the issues. And so, hey, if you have an ice cream, it momentarily will relieve the pain, doesn't fix the issues. And obviously obesity and all, I'm not even going to get into that. It's a problem. But then I'm thinking, is it possible that we've become emotional eaters from way, way early on in our infancy? Like, did we become emotional eaters straight from the womb? Now, hear me out on this. I know that you have to feed a newborn baby. I have 3 kids. I fed on demand. I nursed all of them on demand. I don't cry it out. Never, ever, ever. I even have my little 4-year-old right next to me right now. You want to be cozy with me? Get in my bed. You know what I mean? Like I'm that kind of mom. Hey, Ema, I am not the type to cry it out or put my kids on this like crazy eating schedule when they're little. However, when they cry, the first thing we do is pop a boob in their mouth or make a bottle, right? And then as they get older, or maybe even when they're little, or they're fussy or they're whatever, and you pop a pacifier in their mouth if they're the type that would take it. And then as they get older, 2 or 3 years old, and they fall, and you're like, oh, you're okay. Do you want a cookie? And we are pre-programming these children to be emotional eaters without even realizing it, because we're givers, we're moms, we want to take care of them. And you know how they say, like, oh, a mom wants to feed her kids. But I think that it's such a fine line, because emotional eating is one of the hardest addictions to break. Why is that? Because if someone's an alcoholic and they really want to stop, so just stop drinking alcohol. You don't need alcohol to survive. And if someone's a drug addict, and you've seen my addiction video, so it is a very complex issue. If you haven't watched it, go back a few months and watch it. Please educate yourselves on the topic. So I'm not saying it's like, oh, just stop. But if a drug addict is able to get to the point where they can stop using drugs, and they just don't do it ever again, right? Like, you just don't do it, and then it just doesn't happen. But food, you can't stop eating. You have to eat. So every day it's a choice. Are you going to make a good decision? Are you going to heal yourself with your food? Are you going to put the right things in your body? Or are you going to make the wrong decision? And it's not like you can stay away from it and just cut it off cold turkey. No, you need food to survive. So it has to be one of the hardest things to break and do it correctly, right? And make the right choices. And I feel like you have to contend for it every single day. I'm talking about myself too. I am far from perfect, and I don't even want to be, right? You will hear me talking about it. I do not chase perfection, but I do chase health and what's the best for me, right? But I'm wondering, did we create emotional eating all the way from infancy? Did we create emotional eating all the way from when you're born? Tony, it's honestly a rampant issue. It seems to me that like I told you, I've helped and talked to thousands of people to get them healthy, and I would say 98% of them emotionally eat. I really would. I don't think that's a crazy number. And because food can give you pleasure, and because we're taught from such a young age, like, oh, you fell, here's a lollipop. And then I was reading, I'm doing a presentation for a bunch of people on next Tuesday about health, and I was preparing my slides, and I was doing some research, and a parent that is obese, their child has an 80% rate of being obese themselves. An 80% chance of being obese themselves. That's staggering. That's scary. You know, like, I don't want my children to go through what I went through and had to lose 60 pounds. And of course, I'm blessed and happy that I found a way to lose it, but I don't want my children to have to go into that place to then have to get back out of it and lose the weight. So I'm wondering, you know, did we create this? Is this something that came all the way early on from popping a bottle in a baby's mouth every time they cry and not knowing, are they hungry, or are we just trying to pacify them with food? And I think it's such a dangerous place to be because you can't withhold food from a newborn. But I'm wondering if the brain gets used to it. If the brain wants to pacify itself with food because it's been taught to do that so early on. And this, I could be totally off, but I feel like I'm onto something, and I feel like it kind of makes sense. And, you know, of course, you have to do it in infancy. You have to feed a newborn baby. I'm pro feeding a baby. But maybe when they're 2, maybe we shouldn't be rewarding them for peeing on the potty with jelly beans. Maybe it should be something else. Or maybe, do you hear where I'm going with this? Is this making any sense, or am I totally whacked? Because I feel like we use food so often. Birthday parties have cake, and graduations have cake, and holiday parties have all the family favorites, right? Like, where's that fine line of feeding your body but not creating that emotional relationship with food? And I feel like it may be a lifelong battle. I definitely feel like I'm no longer an emotional eater to the extreme that I was. But I wonder still if some of it's lurking, you know, like just underlying stuff that you peel back the onion and then there's more issues there and you're like, wow, I thought I took care of that, you know? So anyways, I'm very curious to see what you think. I'm also very curious to hear what your friends think. So if you could do me a favor, and as you know, I am on a path of wanting to help a lot of people, and not just in health, but in general, and you being the best you and figuring out all the things you can do to assist yourself to living your best life. So on the bottom left-hand side of this video is a share button. And if you could share this video so that we can see what your friends think and what your opinions are and what their opinions are and how we can maybe assist other people to think outside the box and kind of change their lives. So if you could just share this button, not share the button, don't share the button, press the button, share the video, and let's see if we can help others start to think. But I am very curious to see what you think. Do you think that's where emotional eating originated from? And what are your ideas on how we can prevent it or change it or enhance our lives so we don't feel like we can fix our problems with food? Really, really honestly curious to hear what you think. So if you could share the video and comment, I will be reading all of your comments, and I greatly appreciate your input. Till next time.